Hello and welcome to Focus on Framingham, show number 10. We are recording on December 30th, 2018. I'm your host, Mike Cunningham. You can always reach us at focusonframingham.tv. And you can also email us at mike@focusonframingham.tv. So this is kind of a wrap-up of the last couple of months. I haven't done a show in, I think, about 2 months. So we have a fair number of topics to go over. Starting with we had the 2018 midterm elections, and there are a number of heated contested spots on that. So this is a write-up from Framingham source. Framingham, Massachusetts Governor Charlie Baker easily won re-election in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts last night. Framingham voters also supported the re-election of Governor Baker and Lieutenant Governor Karen Polito, 62 to 35%. The Baker-Polito ticket received 15,116 votes. Jay Gonzalez and Quentin Perfley receiving 8,500. Overall, more than half of Framingham voters participated in the election. Unofficially, Lisa Clark Ferguson has 58%, and Framingham's 41,500 voters participating. Let's see. Framingham also overwhelmingly endorsed Senator Elizabeth Warren for re-election. The Democrat easily won the re-election, defeating her opponent, Baker Polito, with 60% of the vote. So that was the outcome of that election back in November. Karen Spilka was running unopposed for another term. And Maria Robinson, who won the Democratic primary, was officially elected in Framingham's newest representative. She, too, was unopposed on the November ballot. So that's the outcome of that vote. We'll talk about the vote yes on Fuller in a little bit. The next article we're going to go over here, if I can pull up the graphic, is Mayor is to address the city. So this is coming up in 2019. Mayor Spicer is to present the State of the City address in January 28th. This is from the Framingham source. Framingham Mayor Yvonne Spicer will present her second State of the City address on Monday, January 28th in Nevins Hall in the Memorial Building at 7 p.m. The public is invited to attend. Snow date has been scheduled for January 31st. City's charter requires the mayor to present the State of the City address in January. She did it last year on the, or back in 2018, she did it on January 31st. And I'm sure you can watch that live on the government channel here in Framingham. Let's see. So next we have an op-ed. Framingham can't take Friday afternoons off. This was written by George King. And this was published by Framingham Source. And I'll just read a little bit of it. When I became Framingham's second town manager in 1999, a focus of my tenure was to place customer service in the forefront. The Board of Selectmen adopted a formal policy delineating specific customer service standards that the then town would strive to achieve. I recognize times have changed a bit, but the importance of government providing efficient services to taxpayers is not. Framingham customer service policy is still on the books throughout these 3 subsequent administrations. No doubt it could use a revision to reflect changing times, and at times adherence to it has faltered, but the principle is not lost. One of the critical elements to the policy is that customer service is a broad concept, and it's not just a smiling and being nice to someone at the point of service. It requires services to be easily accessible with no red tape. It means returning phone calls and emails timely. It means processes are straightforward and understandable. Questions are answered directly and unambiguously. There are many broad-based aspects to the concept of the policy spells out for them while offering standards. So, the City Hall is changing its business hours, resulting in a 12:30 p.m. closing every Friday instead of 5 p.m. In exchange for the Friday afternoon closing, we'll get 2 hours of service Tuesday night from 5 to 7. Employees work the same number of hours by cutting lunch down by 1/2 hour each day. However, the bottom line is the city services are available 2.5 hours less each week and not all Friday afternoon. There is no cost savings to correspond to reduction in service time. I'm not persuaded that there's good public policy reason for this change beyond a few offices such as the clerk, treasurer, and assessor that are convenient to have open in the evening. There's no operational need for the majority of the city offices such as the accountant, the purchasing, or technology services to stay open. City could easily keep the necessary offices open for a couple of evening hours as it has regularly done in the past without competing change to the entire schedule. So if you want to read it completely, you can check it out on Framingham source, but I thought that was a interesting debate that's been going on here. Next we have a fire lieutenant that has retired after 3 decades. This is from Framingham source. Framingham Fire Lieutenant Bill McLean retired on December 22nd, 2018 after more than 3 decades with the department. Lieutenant McLean began his career with Framingham on Halloween in 1988. Wow. He was promoted to lieutenant on June 12th of 2011. He spent most of his career with the headquarters station on Loring Drive, serving the residents of downtown Framingham. One of the best firefighters we had, said Framingham Assistant Fire Chief Michael Ducher. He was an exceptional ladder man. I was proud to have worked with him. So if you want to see some pictures of him, you can check that out on Framingham source. The library. Let's see. This is an article actually from patch.com. The Framingham Public Library Foundation, as we reimagine the main libraries, please join the Framingham Public Library Foundation as we reimagine the main library's children's crafts room in a family-friendly makerspace. Your contribution will help us create this interactive and flexible space and stock it with technology, tools, materials, and other resources that will stimulate innovating crafting and learning experiences. Our fundraising goal of $27,000 will allow our community to explore the limits of creativity and curiosity in everything from crafting to coding, 3D painting, robotics, design, photography, and much more. So you can donate at framlibfoundation.org/donate-now. So our next article is about the Christa McAuliffe charter students earn an award for Trimester 1. On Tuesday, December 18th, the entire Christa McAuliffe Charter School community came together to celebrate scholars who earned awards during the first trimester. McAuliffe distributes 3 types of awards at the end of each trimester. The awards celebrate strong habits of work and learning improvements to habits of work and learning and performance in specific subject areas, according to the middle school. McAuliffe's habits of work and learning are perseverance, responsibility, collaboration, and inquiry. These are explicitly taught alongside the content area with the understanding that the stronger scholar habits, work, and learning, the stronger his or her academic success. So I thought that was a nice bit of news here that was reported by Susan Petroni at Framingham Source. Moving on. This was more of a kind of a statewide national headline. This is Senator Markey and Warren want strong children's education television programming rules. This is published also by Framingham Source. Boston, U.S. Senator Edward J. Markey, a member of the Commerce, Science, and Transportation Committee and the author of the Children's Television Act today, this is December 17th, led 8 of his colleagues in calling on the Federal Communications Commission to maintain essential elements of the KidVid rules, which ensure access to children's education programming on over-the-air broadcast television in accordance with the Children's Television Act. Senator Elizabeth Warren was one of those senators. In the letter, the senators highlight the need to preserve existing rules requiring broadcasters to air 3 hours of regularly scheduled educational children's programming a week on their primary stations. So basically saying, in light of comments recently filed in response to this proposal, we write to encourage you to ensure that all children, regardless of their family's income level or access to high-speed internet, continue to have access to the educational programming they deserve. Write the senators. In particular, we urge you to preserve existing rules requiring broadcasters to air 3 hours of regularly scheduled educational children's programming a week on their primary stations. So I guess they've been trying to, there's a proposal to decrease the amount of educational children's shows that broadcasters must air, remove the requirement that quality children's shows are regularly scheduled, and allow broadcasters to air children's shows on sparsely viewed secondary television channels. So that's good to hear. I'm all for educational children's television. Then this next item was actually something that I saw on Facebook in the Framingham District 2 Facebook page, and it's probably in other districts as well. The Framingham resident took it upon his or herself to create a year-end report card for the city. However, a lot of questions came up as to what will happen with the data, who will have access to it, and how the privacy will be maintained around that. But if you're interested in participating in that, you can go ahead and find it. If you take a look in the Framingham District 2, number 2, Facebook group, you'll see it there. Let's see. Mayor Spicer will be on the Audrey Hall show this month. You can check that out on Saturdays at 12:30, Mondays at 7:30 p.m., Thursdays at 7:30 p.m. on RCN Channel 3, Comcast Channel 9, and Verizon Channel 43. And I'll also mention, I didn't have a graphic made for this, but RCN will be renewing its contract with the city, if it hasn't already, but it will be this year. And one of the provisions they will be providing is high definition on for all of the 3 PEG stations. Currently, the government channel is on channel 613 in high definition. Access Framingham and the Flyers TV will also be on high definition coming sometime this year on RCN. So when that's ready, our show will still be in standard def because all of my equipment is standard def. But the picture will still be better and the sound will be better as well. So look forward to that if you're an RCN subscriber. So let's see. Our next story is the Yes on Fuller. This was back on, let's see. Boy, what day was that? December 12th, I think. Basically, 4,300 voters voted yes and 703 voted no. With a 12% voter turnout. So that's 505 out of 41,593 voters. So it looks like we will be getting the, I believe it's a state grant to rebuild Fuller Middle School, former home of Access Framingham. It's kind of a rundown, crumbling school. So it'll be looks like it'll be a net win for us, even though there was a lot of debate over whether or not we should accept it. I think it basically came down to the fact that to maintain the school is going to cost more than building the new one. So it's, kind of one of those situations. So our next item is the cake caper. Now, I'm not going to put the photo of the woman provided by the establishment's security camera, but you can check that out. This is from Framingham source. The owners of Dulce de Leche in Framingham said a woman walked into their establishment tonight, this was on November 30th, and walked out with a $45 cake without paying for it. Sam Stavar says the photo of the woman was taken from the establishment security camera. At 7:49 p.m., Jules was talking to two customers and Maria was helping with another, said Savar. I called the police. They told me to keep an eye out for her and to call them if I see her again. So if you go to Framingham source and you check out that photo and you see that woman, she stole a freaking $45 cake. All right, so our next story, if I can pull it up here, is No on Beavers. There is a little drama with some beavers. This is a statement directly that was sent out from the town. Statement regarding beavers, and it's kind of a lengthy statement. I'll see if I can kind of skim it over here. The city of Framingham regrets that it was placed into a set of circumstances that resulted in the demise of the beavers that were populating the section of the MADCR Reservoir 1 between Singletary Lane and its other outlet at Worcester Road. The city spent the last 5 weeks working to keep a section of Singletary Lane, which includes a 100-year-old land bridge, from washing out. If the bridge had eroded away, it would have taken the embedded water, sewer, and natural gas lines with it, creating an extreme hardship for nearly 300 homes in Framingham. Singletary Lane was closed multiple times while the city ran heavy-duty 6-inch pumps for 12 and 24-hour shifts to attempt to lower the water levels. Framingham has expanded almost $40,000 in the last several weeks expended $40,000 in the last several weeks in pumping costs and the traffic details to retain the bridge and keep the road open. The ongoing effort and its associated costs could not be sustained indefinitely. As of November 27th, Framingham had received 21 inches of rain since September, and it was still raining as of that late November date. This was almost 11 inches of rain above the average recorded rainfall for that period. The city worked with the Massachusetts Water Resources Authority and Department of Conservation and Recreation, the DCR, to locate the beaver dams. Because of the excessive rain in dams, water rose more than 4 feet above its normal elevation and was washing over the roadway and began to undermine the retaining walls. The flooding created dangerous driving conditions for everyone traveling that route, specifically the 15 school buses that traverse that road twice daily. At this same time, residents' yards and basements also were becoming flooded. In the past, the cities utilized the device commonly referred to as a beaver deceiver, as beaver dams. At beaver dams to manage the water levels where the prevailing conditions allowed for it. At this point in the flooding and due to the extreme elevation of the water, it was too late to implement that option. The city followed the prescribed regulatory process and reached out to the Department of Health, the Conservation Commission, and the DCR, the property owner, for emergency permits. When the flooding occurs incidental to a beaver dam, Massachusetts regulations require that the aggravated damaged party seek the permit for trapping and pay the costs associated with that action. In this case, it was the city that bore the responsibility and costs associated with the effort. Under the prevailing emergency circumstances, few other options were available. The city acted to prevent a potential public safety and public health disaster. The trapper worked for over 2 weeks While the city worked simultaneously to stabilize conditions, state regulations do not allow trappers to relocate trapped beavers to other areas, and unfortunately, they are most often euthanized. That's kind of sad. There's no beaver sanctuary in the state that they could just go to. Upon removal of the beavers, and aided by a stretch of dry weather, the city is incrementally breaching the dam to allow the water to resume its intended course, and the threat to public safety is slowly subsiding. The city recognizes this recent action does not achieve the type of conclusion for the beavers that most people would prefer. If the city is able to avoid the removal of a beaver population, the process of a flood mitigation, as it has in the past, Framingham will avail itself for that option. So I actually read that in completely because we have time. But that was the beaver drama, and people still kind of got mad at the city. And obviously the city was trying to get in front of this to try to stem that off. But it sounds like ultimately they were kind of painted into a corner on this one, and there really wasn't that much to do. So that's kind of the deal with the beavers. Next one. Virginia man charged with attempted murder. Oh, this is a good story. This is from Framingham source back on November 26th. Virginia man was arrested by Framingham police and charged with attempted murder after stabbing at a Framingham restaurant on Sunday night. Police arrested Daniel H. Melendez, 39, of Manassas, Virginia, in the parking lot of the Red Roof Inn on Cochituate Road. Very classy place to be. Police report stated Melendez was shot with a taser after a struggle with police. The arrest took place after a stabbing of another Virginia man, 35, at a Margarita's restaurant at 725 Cochituate Road. That man was transported to Brigham and Women's Hospital in Boston. His wounds were not life-threatening, according to Framingham Police Lieutenant Patricia Gargas. Stabbing took place outside the restaurant in the parking lot. Witnesses said the two men were arguing inside the restaurant. Let's see. Trying to see because the victim was making inappropriate comments about Melendez's 15-year-old daughter, saying that Melendez was going to be his father-in-law. Police wrote in the report. According to the report, Melendez told the police he had left the restaurant after arguing with his friend. Melendez told police his friend followed him outside and pushed him to the ground. According to the police report, the two fought. Melendez used a knife in self-defense. He stabbed his friend once in the abdomen, according to the report. So officially, he was charged with attempted murder and assault and battery with a dangerous weapon. So that's that story. I appear to have not... no, here we go. Framingham schools are adding a dual language programs to 2 more elementary schools. And as the father of a bilingual student, I'm happy to hear this news. This is reported also by Framingham Source. Framingham Public Schools announced today, November 28th, that it's expanding its dual language program to include 2 more schools. This means 4 of its 9 elementary schools will offer increased opportunities for children in the next school year, according to the public school district. This is great news for parents who wish for their children to be bilingual, bicultural, and biliterate, as the expansion will open the door for more families across the district to immerse their children in a program that delivers meaningful, challenging, and accredited instruction, said the district in a press release. In addition to the 2-way Spanish program at Barberry Elementary School and the newly implemented 2-way Portuguese program at Potter Road Elementary School, the district is planning to increase the dual language programs to include a Portuguese program at the Woodrow Wilson Elementary School and a Spanish program at the Brophy Elementary School. Both Brophy and Woodrow Wilson Elementary Schools have been serving English learners in programs where students are both learning the curriculum in their native language and in addition to English. So this will be like the two-way program where you can learn either language, or you learn both language, basically. It's a two-way immersion program designed to promote bilingualism and biliteracy, a cross-cultural competency, and high levels of academic achievement for both native English speakers and English learners from a single language background. There's been a lot of studies, I'm going to interject here, that show that learning multiple language as a kid actually makes learning overall more effective. You basically, your ability to learn is actually enhanced, and also your ability to learn other languages other than the first two that you learned is greatly enhanced as well. So I think it's important, and I'm very happy that they put these programs in. It will probably take a year or two for all the fine-tuning in the programs, but I look forward to it. Let's see. I think I'm going to end on this last story here. Let's see. Personalities of 2018. This was published by Metro West Daily News, featured on Wicked Local, so Framingham.wickedlocal.com. These are personalities who shined in Metro West and Milford, and I'm going to just skip to the ones from ones that stand out here from Framingham. Let's see. Maria Robinson of Framingham. Robinson became the first Korean American elected to the Massachusetts legislature on November 6th when she captured the 6th Middlesex seat for state representative. She is also the first person of color to hold the seat, which represents much of Framingham. She easily won her party's nomination in a September primary, earning more than half the vote in a race that featured all write-in candidates. And our other personality of 28 is Stephanie Dealey of Framingham. Dealey is president of the local chapter of the League of Women Voters, a nonpartisan group that advocates voter rights. She spearheaded the organization's several candidate forums during the past election season, giving local voters an opportunity to hear and evaluate candidates. This was particularly valuable in Framingham's 6th Middlesex State Representative race, which was comprised of all write-in candidates after the death of State Rep Chris Walsh in May. So congratulations, Stephanie. I know Stephanie through doing other programs at Access Framingham and through the League of Women's Voters. So I just wanted to recognize those two Framingham residents for making this list of Metro West and Milford residents. This was a list of 18 individuals. And you can find the rest of that list on the Framingham.wickedlocal.com. So that concludes my show here for 2018. I'll see you in 2019 with show number 11. Hopefully in the next year we get to do some interviews and other things like that here in my studio. So until then, I'm your host, Mike Cunningham, and thanks for watching.